Hello, everyone. I'm Brock Vieira, and welcome to Season 3 of the College Football Forecast. As you all know, my co-host Bill Carroll, you guys seen him before, you guys love him. He cannot be here right now. As soon as we were about to start filming, he got called away for a major issue. He is okay, but unfortunately, he'll be joining us a little bit later. Before we begin, I just want to say thank you to everyone that's watching right now and that has watched our program before. It's been 3 incredible years so far. I've loved what I've done with Bill, with this show, with Team MBS Media, and I cannot wait to continue with bigger and better shows, more guests, more insights, and just so much more to come. Season 3 is all about making it happen. That's what happens in college football. Coaches in season 3, that's the year they gotta make it happen. And for us, this is exactly what we're going to do. And I think the best way to start off is by going back into our past and bringing back some of the biggest guests that we've had so far. These two gentlemen, when I get the chance to bring them on, have been the biggest friends of the show for the past 2 seasons. From mere strangers I've met through a computer screen, they've become close personal friends who I have enjoyed talking football with for quite some time. Today, we're going to be breaking down the Big Ten, some of the best pro prospects in the conference. We're going to be debating who's better, who's worse, what rounds could they be going, what do we see in these players, so on and so forth. We will also be discussing some of the teams these gentlemen represent and also where the conference is going to be moving forward. Michigan is the defending national champions. Ohio State looks to have one of the best rosters in all college football. USC has a massive game opening up their massive 2 weeks opening up their Big Ten account, hosting LSU in Las Vegas, and then also going out to the big house to face Michigan. Teams like UCLA, Oregon, and Washington have joined. Maryland and Rutgers could possibly be on their way out, so they look to be fighting for survival. And quite frankly, we don't know where things are going to go with this conference. With all that being said, it's time to bring on the guests. First off, you guys know him. You love him. He's on Buckeyes Wire. He has a podcast called Ohio State of Mind that he does with Mike Chen. Great show. You guys got to check out. Give it up for the one, the only, Mr. Josh Keatley. Josh, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, brother. Just getting ready for football season. Every day's a grind, brother.
Absolutely. Before we start jumping into these prospects, what is your outlook on Ohio State right now?
Yeah, so this will be the third podcast where I'm going to go on record saying that I am taking the over Ohio State's wins at 10.5. So I do believe Ohio State goes undefeated. I think that there's really only 3 games that you could classify as 50-50, and there's no way that they lose. I mean, things would have to go horribly wrong for them to lose all 3. So yeah, the total set at 10.5, and I think Ohio State should win at least 11 games.
Yeah, that's fair, and I think that's kind of where the standard is set for Ohio State in general. Ryan Day has come under a tremendous amount of pressure, and from both you and I and many people in the media and also the fan base, because of his inability to win the big games these past several years. 3 straight losses to Michigan, topped off by 2 straight bowl losses. He lost the Peach Bowl, and then he lost in 2022, and then he lost the Cotton Bowl to Missouri last season. Do you think that there's, of course, it's a disaster, sure, but let's say he hits double-digit wins, makes college football playoffs, even has a victory in the playoffs, but he doesn't win a national championship, and he loses to Michigan, and he doesn't secure a Big Ten title. Does Ryan Day get an extra season in this? Straight hypothetical.
I don't think so. There are certain goals that they have set: beat Michigan, win the conference, win the national championship. And you just described that they did 0 out of the 3. So I don't think that that's an option. I think that, people have asked me like, hey, if they lose to Michigan but win the Big Ten and, don't win the national championship, but they win a game in the playoffs, do you think that he should keep his job? And I would say yes. If he can, the playoffs this year, because it's expanded, are going to be very wishy-washy. It's going to be pretty crazy. And granted, I'm for the expanded playoffs. I wish they expand even further. If I'm being honest with you, but the playoffs, a lot of that is a grab bag. But Ryan Day, when you talk about Michigan and the conference, you're familiar with most of these teams. There's a couple wild cards in there, like Oregon's the biggest wild card. But, he's familiar with Michigan now. He's familiar with all these Big Ten teams. So it's a reasonable expectation to say, hey, You have to win the conference. You haven't won it in 4 years. Where are we at? So I feel like that, yeah, if he doesn't, in the situation that the hypothetical that you provided, 0 of the 3 boxes were checked. So yeah, I would fire him.
Absolutely. When we get into our conversation with these players, it's going to be driven by a whole bunch of talent on this Ohio State roster. And we're going to get to them in a second. But I do want to bring on our second guest to the show, Donovan James. This guy works for Trojans Wire. He just moved down to Jacksonville. He's working with the Jacksonville Jaguars at Jags Wire right now. He's been a longtime friend of the show, a close personal friend as well. A guy hopefully I will be seeing maybe this September when USC comes to town. We'll have to see. Donovan, welcome. How are you doing today? Oh, you are a bit muted, brother. Hold on. You got to unmute yourself.
My bad, man. How's it going? How y'all doing?
Going good. How are you?
I'm good. I was just telling Josh I love the beard. I'm growing mine out, but it's too damn hot down here in Jacksonville.
So dude, tomorrow, but your beard looks so good. It looks much more kempt than mine. I'm very jealous. That's the first thing I noticed.
Yeah, well, it'll be gone tomorrow. But thank you guys for having me on. Brock, I always appreciate it for sure. Thank you.
Of course. And the reason I brought you two on because you guys are not only some of the most knowledgeable football minds that I know, but especially when it comes to the Big Ten. Josh has been a member of the media with the Big Ten for quite a long time. Donovan, this is your first foyer because of USC's first year into the conference. So let's start with some of the pro prospects that I want to discuss. And I'm going to go with the big board of defensive backs that's in the conference. There's one at Ohio State, one at Michigan that I think are shoe-ins for getting all conference honors. The third kind of defensive back, where do we think that they're going? So obviously we have Denzel Burke out of Ohio State. We have Will Johnson of Michigan. Who do you guys have as that third cornerback in the conference that you guys think is going to elevate themselves into being a first-team Big Ten selection? Josh, I'm going to start with you.
You're talking about in the total conference, or are you asking me if there's a player in Ohio State that can possibly be that number 3 guy?
In the total conference.
I think Muhammad from Oregon. He's an absolute stud. He's transferring in, and he's one of the big gets. The Oregon got a couple big gets that should strike fear in opponents. And one was Evan Stewart at wide receiver, and the other one was Muhammad at cornerback. But I think he's the dude. I was on your show a couple weeks ago, and you laid out your all Big Ten team, and we kind of talked. I can't remember if he was on there, if he almost made the cut. I know that we talked about him. We were all in agreement that he's just an elite lockdown guy. I do want to give a shout out to Davison Igbinosun, though, of Ohio State. He's the number 2 guy there, but it's completely within the realm. It would not be completely shocking if we end the season and we all say, hey, wow, that's the best cornerback in the Big Ten. He plays with an aggressiveness and a swagger that is very rare. And we've seen it kind of before, right, where the hype kind of outweighs a certain prospect. We saw it last year with Kool-Aid McKinstry and Terrion Arnold, right? We could have a situation like that. I don't think that's going to happen, but I do want to at least throw it out there in case it does.
And you brought up a great point because we've seen a lot of times, well, obviously number 2 cornerbacks will be the guys targeted, and because of that, their draft stock rises. I think the prime example is Damon Arnett for Ohio State when he was paired up with the guy whose name I can't remember, 3rd overall pick to the Detroit Lions. His Okuda. Name is eluding me. Thank you, Jeff Okuda. Yeah, so I think it's a very interesting point, but I see a lot of talent across the Big Ten. I mean, I have Muhammad as my guy too, but Dylan Thieneman from Purdue is a guy that I have as a sleeper. Do you think potentially we could see that, or do you think Ohio State could possibly get it's more likely Ohio State gets 2 slots in there?
It's definitely more likely that Ohio State gets 2 slots. I think that the kid from Purdue is very, very talented. I'm not disrespecting him at all, but when you're talking about I think it's more likely that he gets draft hype, but goes unrecognized as far as all conference honors go. Just because Purdue's so poor, I don't see how a game script is really going to help him. Ohio State, they should dominate most of the teams they're playing, so that means teams are going to be throwing the ball more. Desperation interceptions are going to fall into their lap. So statistically speaking, I just feel like it's more likely that Denzel Burke and Igbinosun make the team together than the kid from Purdue squeaking in. Wisconsin's also got a great cornerback in
Thank you.
Yes, Hallman. There you go. I
Yeah.
apologize. Yeah, I could see him squeaking in because I do think Wisconsin's going to be pretty okay this year. I think that they're going to be much better on defense than they were last year. So that'd be another guy that I think could squeak in there. But yeah, I like the Ohio State guys and their chances.
Yeah, I think something that could be really interesting is that we could see potentially 3 Ohio State defensive backs. If you throw in Alabama transfer Caleb Downs in there, making that Big Ten first team list. Definitely an interesting conversation to have, especially as the season goes on. Donovan, I'm gonna kick it over to you. USC, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon are all coming in. A lot of the hype is on Oregon right now because of the money that they're spending and NIL, and also the transfer of Muhammad from Washington. Are there any defensive backs in those 4 teams that you think are going to be potential first round draft picks, or teams that we're going to see get all conference honors, or players that we're going to see get all conference honors towards the end of the season?
So just the teams coming into the pack. Is that
Yeah,
what you got?
yeah, to the Big Ten.
Or the Big Ten? Sorry, Jesus Christ, I'm already messing up.
I know it's hard.
Leaving the pack is what I meant. But yeah. By the way, I want to say, you didn't ask me this. You asked Josh, but Cam Miller is probably my 3rd guy from Penn State. I love him. Just saying.
Ooh.
Not to be a Jacksonville homer because he's from here, but
No. So okay. So actually, let's transition a little bit. So you like Cam Miller over Johnny Dixon?
Yeah, for the NFL, yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're Penn State. I mean, we'll get to that, I guess, later or whatever. But I'm a huge fan of their team. Just the coach. But anyway, yeah. Oregon, obviously, yeah, like you mentioned, loaded. I mean, their depth chart is insane, dude. Muhammad is, yeah, he's a top 5 corner probably in college football. You could make the argument. Most people probably say he's definitely top 5 in the Big Ten for sure. But Cam Alexander too, that's coming in, is another guy that I like out of Texas. He's coming in from UTSA, but I think he went to Sam Houston too, if I'm not mistaken. But he's another corner that I like a lot. Obviously Washington, they lost a pretty good amount coming in.
Damn near everybody.
Yeah, damn near everybody, especially at that position. But that's for the West Coast, one of the DBUs for sure. So they have a lot of guys, I'm sure, coming in and to replace. But as far as USC goes, that's been a place that they have lacked there. Obviously, they lost the transfer to Alabama, but wasn't too fond of him anyway. But I do love John Humphrey. Humphrey of formerly UCLA going to USC. And that whole defensive back room with Kamari Ramsey and Keatley Arnold, all those guys is just, and even Jacoby Covington, who came from Washington, like they're all transfers. Even DeCarlos Nicholson, all those guys, like they have a pretty good, solid cornerback room now. But John Humphrey is the best corner on the team and the most physical corner on the team to me, and just the quickest corner. He's got that twitch. He's got. I'm really excited about this DB room. They're gonna get tested, like you mentioned, week 1 by Garrett Nussmeier LSU. But I really like John Humphrey. I think John Humphrey's kind of around like an early mid-second round guy right now, because this is the cornerback class last year to me was one of the best that I've ever seen. This one on paper right now is not as good, but they're still a solid group. That's pretty deep, and I think John Humphrey last year could have been around a 4th or 5th round guy. I think he'll move up with the lack of talent at that cornerback position, and then just him playing really good this year, because he really impressed me last year, and he played good in some really big games too.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see, because you guys also have a new defensive coordinator in Deion Todd Lynn. That's gonna help.
He came over with him, so
yeah, from UCLA. So when we look at this USC kind of defense, what are we should be expecting in 2024, and how will that translate to making the players better, increasing their draft stock?
Well, you watched a lot of UCLA football last year. I know you did. Josh, I know, watches all football. He's a football junkie. That's all he watches. So UCLA, if you watch their defense and what they do, how active they were, I just feel like everybody's active and they rotate a lot, and they have just a lot of bodies that are just flying across, the gridiron. You know what I mean? Basically, whether, like I said, adding guys from the Pac-12 too. I know it's moving to the Big Ten, but they're familiar with each other, like guys like Keatley Arnold and John Humphrey and stuff like that, and Jacoby Covington. They're familiar with some of these teams. But getting guys like Nate Clifton in to play some big snaps this year, and Anthony Lucas, obviously Bear Alexander coming back, who was a little underwhelming but still had a pretty good season. Jamil Muhammad, who I think is one of the most underrated players in the country. Mason Cobb's always flying around. If he can stay healthy, he's a veteran leader, one of the captains of the team. And Keely Arnold's brother too, Easton. He should be starting, I believe, at the middle linebacker position. So they just have a lot of depth this year. That's a big thing for me. Like having guys like Gentry come back and Rayshawn Davis, and then having some of the younger guys coming in too, like a Cameron Fountain, I was a big fan of. He's a true freshman. He's coming in. Guys like that with athleticism. Guys like Bear Alexander and Anthony Lucas, both SEC guys coming in, 5-star guys from a few years ago. Just a lot of depth for the defense, and then flying around the ball, and then trying to create turnovers. Not last year, but the year before. Alex Grin gets a lot of hell, but they did lead the conference in turnovers, and that was kind of their calling card was turnovers. They can't rely on solely just turnovers every time. You got to get some stops on the third and shorts. That's kind of what makes Ohio State to me, and what makes Michigan last year when they ran the table is they were able to get stops, and USC just hasn't been able to do that. You can't live off turnovers, and you can't live off of the big play like Caleb was doing too. So I think both of those things will switch this year with a Miller Moss led offense with Lincoln Riley. They'll be able to run the ball a little bit more, and be a little bit more balanced. And then obviously on defense, I think they'll be able to fly around the ball a little bit more and get some turnovers still, obviously, but get some stops on 3rd and 3, 3rd and 1, and get themselves out of some bad positions.
Yeah, and something that I feel like USC has lacked for a long time is a superstar linebacker, and they used to be a linebacker factory for decades, and we haven't seen that. We'll transition to the topic of linebackers. Josh, I want to kick it back to you. When we did my show on the hot seat a couple weeks ago, we talked about my first team. The only position group that brought up any type of debate was the linebacker core. Who are some of your top linebackers that you think are going to be NFL ready by the end of this season?
Well, we talked about Abdul Carter from Penn State. I know that there's still some off-field concerns there about what's happening with him, yada yada yada. That dude's ferocious, very much in the same ilk as Micah Parsons. But yeah, I really like Abdul Carter. We talked about Jay Higgins at Iowa, just an absolute tackling machine, your prototypical linebacker. So that's another guy that I think is going to have a real shot at being a star in the NFL. Penn State's got a good linebacker, and King. That guy flows the ball really well. I mean, Penn State's got a couple good linebackers that are real nasty. Iowa does too. Iowa's got that transfer from Virginia. We transferred in last year, Nick Jackson. So this will be his second year in the defense, and he was good at Virginia. He was good last year. So if he keeps improving, he should be All-American caliber this year. And then Cal Halliday comes back from Michigan State. We talk about him. He's kind of like herpes. He just never really goes away, right?
Yeah, and you're putting him into a Jonathan Smith structured defense, which I think is going to really make him stand out even more in the conference. One of the linebackers, I want to get your thoughts on him, that I have as a 50-50 guy right now is Luke Reimer from Nebraska. I believe Nebraska. What have you thought about him so far? And do you think that he could be a guy that elevates himself into the upper echelon of Big Ten linebackers?
Yeah, I like him. I think Nebraska's going to be much better too. I mean, I talked about this on my podcast where maybe it was a couple weeks ago. The Big Ten's kind of in tears, and Nebraska's got a very high ceiling but a very low floor. I mean, that's a guy that was really productive. He's been productive for a couple years now. He's just not the problem with him, and the difference between him and Halliday is Halliday makes enough explosive plays where you believe that he can be something special at the next level. Reimer's very similar to like Tommy Eichenberg. Where it's like, oh, this guy's a really good college linebacker, but I don't know if he has the physical traits to go sideline to sideline and be the dude, right? In the NFL, they're all dudes. Halliday, he might lack the measurables, but he has enough explosive plays where I fully buy into it. I don't know about Reimer if we're talking about the NFL. But if we're talking about all conference, yeah. I mean, someone in Nebraska's going to get better and someone's going to reap the benefits.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Transitioning over to the safety room, this is where I think there's a lot of question marks, in my opinion. Now, there's a bunch of guys that I have as shoe in, like, going to be like great guys. Like Moore and Page at Michigan, I think are going to be great. Caleb Downs at Ohio State's going to be great. I have Kevin Winston Jr. in kind of that upper echelon. But after those four, I kind of feel a bit lost. Like two guys I really like is Hunter Wohler from Wisconsin and Xavier Nawakampa from Iowa. Can you talk about Wohler and Nawakampa, and could they elevate themselves into being in that top tier of safety?
The
Josh?
kid from Iowa, absolutely. The kid from Iowa was phenomenal. I already put him in that top tier. That dude's gonna. You can make an argument that he by the end of the year, you could say that he's going to be the best player, the best safety in the Big Ten, and perhaps being an early round. I don't want to say first round, but he checks all the boxes. This is a former 5-star recruit, so he has all the physical ability, and he's showing it on the field. He's an absolute stud. So yeah, he's who I would put my money on for sure.
Absolutely. Well, we got some comments, just want to put up on the board. The boss man just want to say, great to see you back at it, Donovan. Yes, sir. And then, fellas, what is up? Which Pac-12 team is in for a rude awakening to the Big Ten? Donovan, I'm going to kick that question over to you.
Easily. They're all in for a rude awakening, really, except Oregon. Because I just don't think they have the juice to pull it off this season. But I would probably say Washington too, though, man. Honestly, I'm not a fan of what they brought back and what they returned and what they got in the portal, really. So I would say both. I can be honest. Obviously, Washington, I'm not digging on too bad. It's just that that team go 14-1 last year?
Yeah,
Will
Rogers is the quarterback, so it's going to be a down year without a doubt. What?
It wouldn't matter if Michael Penix was back at quarterback with this team.
That's what I'm saying.
They still probably win 8 games.
Oh, I don't even know if they make a bowl game. If I'm being honest with you.
No, I'm saying if Penix was quarterback with this same team.
Oh, if Michael Penix, yeah.
Yeah, so fair. I'm saying, yeah, I like the coach. I like some of the guys they have are still talented guys. A little bit younger, obviously, but yeah, to answer his question, yeah, I would say those two though, for sure.
That's fair. Josh, I'll kick over the question to you.
Yeah, man, I don't like the Will Rogers slander. I want to be very clear. When the transfer portal opened up, I was devastated that Ohio State did not make a move for Will Rogers. I wanted Will Rogers over Will Howard. Now that we have Chip Kelly, I feel like Will Howard fits better. But 6 months ago, if you would have asked me, I would have said Will Rogers all day. Will Rogers got screwed, man. Will Rogers I really truly believe he's one of the most accurate passers in college football. The problem is that he ran a very dink and dunk offense under Mike Leach, and then the dumbass that they hired after him was like, "We're going to be power offense. Everybody, watch out!" It's kind of what they did. That's the problem. That was the problem with the Wisconsin running back Braylon Allen last year at Wisconsin. Everybody's like, "What's wrong? Why does this guy suck?" And it's like, well, he doesn't suck. They changed the offense from pound to we're going to go spread. This is the new Wisconsin, and it didn't work. So Will Rogers kind of got screwed. I think he's like 5th in career, all the passing categories in the SEC history. That's pretty impressive. I was really, I think that he's in a tough. I agree with everything Donovan said, though. Washington is so down the tube with everything that they lost that he's screwed. Now, and he got double screwed too when Kalen DeBoer left too, because Kalen DeBoer and him, that was really going to be a good vibe going.
Yeah.
But Jed Fish doesn't really roll that way. I think Jed Fish likes a more athletic, nimble-footed quarterback. So I don't know.
He's definitely going to start though, because they don't have a lot behind him. He'll definitely. He'll start this year because that's going to be his best option to win to me. They don't have a bunch of. They don't have a 5-star guy behind him or a fourth. There's no guy behind him.
I think that Rodgers had the potential to be something special if Kalen DeBoer would have stayed. And I don't think that potential is there anymore. I agree with you guys that Washington is really going to struggle. Well, I think Washington's going to have – they're going to go 500. I'm not worried about them making a bowl. I don't think they're going to have a winning record in the Big Ten. I think UCLA is the one that's going to have the rudest awakening because when you transit – UCLA was already struggling. They're not getting the NIL funds. No one watches them. They've hired not only a brand new head coach, but a coach who's never been a head coach before. And they're going to be traveling to the East Coast a lot. It feels like Washington, I think that they're a big enough school to where they're not going to be good for a while. but they can be good in the future. UCLA, dude, are they going to be like Indiana? You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm worried about UCLA. And I'm not saying UCLA sucks or the brand sucks, but they're really, 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 really down they're really, really down, and they've been down for a while, and now they're entering the Big Ten, and I don't know if they have the horses to compete with even, even Rutgers has more established horses than UCLA.
They lost two of their best players to USC, which doesn't help. I really think Kamari and we're talking about earlier Humphrey. Like, obviously that wouldn't change the landscape of UCLA football, but for this year it would. Those guys were impact players. When they beat USC last year, those two guys were the MVPs for the defense to me. Obviously, I think UCLA is better than Washington right now, but I agree with you for the future. Washington is. But it's 50-50. Like, I could see both of them going like 6-6, but Washington has a higher ceiling. I could see them winning like 7 games possibly, or 8 sneaking, because it's Washington. Every time I think they're down, they win more than they should, and UCLA is like the opposite. I feel like I expect a lot from them. They have like down years, but
yep.
I like their quarterback a lot. I know Brock doesn't, but I'm a huge Ethan Garbage guy, and I know that coach likes him a lot. He's going to start this year. Justin Martin's there still and Chase Griffin, but I like Ethan if he stays healthy. But they lost so much, man. Like on defense, and then their offense too. Like they only bring 2 starters back. Non-quarterback starters. So I think they got. And then let's see if Jay Sturdivant can actually get the ball this year, because he didn't really get a lot of touches. And I like him a lot. You got me on him, I think, Brock. I'm pretty sure when he's a Cal, like he's really good, but got to get that guy the ball too. But we'll see.
Yeah, that's what I like to do in my free time. I like to watch film of Cal playing football and see if there's any gems with the Golden Bears. It's actually a weird thing of me, and I don't like to talk about it in public that much.
He's good.
That's how I found Jay Michael Sturdivant.
When he transferred, he got USC wanted him big time. UCLA and a bunch of schools. Arizona tried really hard.
Yeah, and I think so. The thing is with UCLA. I would like to add, my opinion of Ethan Garbers has drastically changed because of the Los Angeles Bowl. The LA Bowl definitely changed my mind on him. I'm not too sure if J. Michael Sturdivant's issue last year was him or it was just a issue of Chip Kelly, because multiple transfers came in last year for UCLA on the offensive side of the ball. J. Michael Sturdivant, Carson Steele, Deuce Robinson, and
Kyle
all
Ford.
of them. Yeah, Kyle Ford. Oh, not Deuce Robinson, but Kyle Ford.
Not Deuce Robinson.
Kyle Ford, yeah. And a majority of them didn't work out. So I think that was more of a system than anything else. With that being said, I actually think the team in for the rudest awakening is Oregon. And let me explain my reasoning. UCLA and Washington know who they are right now. UCLA knows their shortcomings as a program, and they know the difficulties they're going to face. Washington, too. They know they're in a massive rebuild. They got to give Jed Fish at least 3 years, like how Arizona did, in order to turn them around. So I think they're chilling with what they got. USC, I think, is in for a rude awakening, especially when they go up to Michigan. But I think the people of Oregon, like the fans of Oregon right now, believe that they are like a few steps away from a national title. And they could very well be right. But I think once they start playing Ohio State on a consistent basis, Michigan on a consistent basis, but more of the Midwest teams like Iowa, in Iowa City on a consistent basis, we're going to see a lot of the issues that plagued them in the Pac-12 in the late 2010s. And what I mean by that is that they go on the road every year to some random place and they pull out Oklahoma State. A game they're supposed to win by 21, they end up losing by 14, and it derails their entire season. I do not believe Oregon, as we speak, have the players or the coaching staff to give off the consistency needed in order to win a national championship. I've seen them play the Pac-12 championship game last season, and they shit the bucket. I saw them play Washington for the past 2 years, and they shit the bucket in both games. They've also extended their in-state rivalry with Oregon State, which means every other year they're gonna take a trip to Corvallis, a place they haven't won in I believe since like 2018 was the last time they won in Corvallis. So I think with all that being said, Oregon is going to be in the rudest awakening when they realize this isn't exactly as easy as it seems. I think they have a massive question mark right now at quarterback with Dylan Gabriel. And there's at times last year Gabriel looked like he was the best quarterback in the country, and there's some times that you want to scratch your head. Now, I think that was also more of a product of Jeff Lebby than Dylan Gabriel's abilities, but it still has to be seen now that they're gone their separate ways. Gabriel's at Oregon, Lebby's now at Mississippi State, which, by the way, I don't know why the Bulldogs hired Jeff Lebby, and when you guys fire him in 3 seasons, I told you so. With that being said, I think Oregon's going to have a really hard time getting consistent quality interior offensive linemen across the board as they go on. I think they're going to have a really difficult time establishing themselves defensively in the conference. And I'm not too sure that when it comes to the physicality aspect of it, when you got to get a critical stop on 3rd and 2 or 4th and 1, they're going to be able to stop a team like Michigan or a team like Iowa or even a team like Rutgers, like a down-nosed, dirty, gritty team that has a head coach that's ready to hit somebody in the face. I don't know if they have that identity yet. I think that when they get punched in the mouth, I'm not too sure how they're going to respond. So that's why I say Oregon is the team that I have as the going to get the rudest awakening when they go this season. I see some nodding. I see some disagreement. Josh, what do you think about that take?
I think that when you said that, my immediate reaction was like, "What are you talking about?" But then, as you explained it, I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. I disagree, but I understand what you're saying because the thing is, like, you came at it from a level of, hey, their expectations are up here, and now they got to completely change who they are, what they do, where they're going to conform to this conference that's already established with these teams that already kind of know what the deal is. Are they going to be able to handle it? Because if they lose 2 games, that's devastating to them. If Washington loses 8 games, really, who the hell cares, right? So I get what you're saying. So on that point, I do agree. I think that Dan Lanning's a good enough coach to where a lot of the issues you're talking about, I think that he can adjust. I agree with you that I don't think they're going to go undefeated. Their schedule lines up to where like the first real huge test they have is Ohio State, and I think they get knocked in the teeth. But you know, they have a very forgiving schedule other than the game against Ohio State and obviously traveling to Michigan. So that really helps them. But I do think that he's a good enough coach, and the schedule's forgiving enough to where you know they shouldn't lose more than 2 games. They really shouldn't. You know, and that the rivalry with Oregon State, I know what you're saying. The rivalry is pretty much dead, right? Because those kids are going to stop going to Oregon State because they play Mountain West teams, right? That rivalry is dead. So even if we thought that the talent gap was huge before, but at least it was like, hey, there's some fire here because it's the rivalry. Dude, that gap is going to be insurmountable in the upcoming years. It might even. That's just going to be a bloodbath, man. I mean, I think.
Yeah,
I'm not too sure because Oregon State's like recruiting tactics haven't exactly changed over the past like damn near 20 years, and they still are producing high level talent. Maybe, but I think there's a new promise that you can give out to players by saying like, "Hey, our schedule's easy as hell. You come here, we're in the college football playoff." You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. So I don't. And technically, there's still a Power 5. Just keep that in mind.
That's true. That's true.
I mean,
I know. But
it's gonna be tough recruiting for them, dude. Like it's already. I mean, like I agree with both of you guys. Said like, well, their recruiting tactics before getting guys up there, they've never been getting big time guys. I mean, Derek Anderson's one of the biggest guys they got. They get JUCO guys. They still would be able to do that. They'll get transfers, but they'll get like the low budget transfers, I guess you could say, like the guys that really couldn't find a home or just want to play at a school like Oregon State. Because I mean, Ocho Cinco played at there, and Steve. I mean, they got guys like they can bring back to the school and like show, hey, like this guy made, especially quarterbacks and the offensive guys. But yeah, it's going to be a talent drop off. But Brock, I definitely get where you guys are coming from, and especially Brock, because I've seen it watching Oregon for the past 20 years or whatever. But I just disagree because this year, like you might be right in a grand scheme of things, and I think you are. Like I won't say you might be, but this year I'm all in on Oregon. I think it's the best team in the Big Ten. So, yeah, I mean, I mean, obviously they play Ohio State and at Michigan, but I'm not really worried about Michigan. Obviously, I'm more worried about Ohio State. I'm honestly more worried about at Wisconsin late in the season, more than Michigan.
Oh,
Just because I think Michigan's going to drop off a lot this year. And I mean, they lost everyone. Like we just talked about Washington. Well, Michigan lost everybody too. And they didn't get a lot to me. They'll be solid. They'll be back to a 9-1 team, which I'm sure Josh likes to hear, but probably doesn't like to hear that I think that Ohio State, Oregon's going to be obviously like the game of the year. But I, as of right now, I think Oregon's the best team in the conference. So, I mean, they have everything. Like, I mean, like they don't have any like really weaknesses. They're a little thin depth wise at D line, which goes back to what Brock said about kind of getting ran on by I don't know about Rutgers, but like Wisconsin and teams like that. But or even Illinois, like which is their homecoming game, but like teams like that with their coach. But Dan Lanning's just the same type of coach. I mean, that guy is the best coach probably under 40 maybe in the country. I mean, he's great. Like that whole staff is amazing. Like they have Dylan Gabriel, he goes down, they got Dante Moore. Like I mean, Patrick Herbert's their backup tight end, Ferguson started. I mean, their offensive line's great. Their receivers I mean, the best collection of receivers I think in the conference. The collection. I think Ohio State's more top heavy, but Ted, Evan Stewart, Trayshawn Holden, I mean, Kyle Casper, like it's just they still got Gary Bryant. He's like their sixth receiver. He's played at USC a lot 2 years ago. Like I don't know why he's even there, honestly. But and they're just loaded. Like they don't have that many weaknesses. They don't have a power back, which kind of scares me a little bit. But with Gabriel, I think it'll make up for it because he can run a lot. But I like Noah Whittington and James Jordan. But I wish they had like a thumper. You know, like Oregon's had some thumpers. I know they're known for like the little scat back guys, like DeAnthony Thomas but they have Michael James. Yeah, exactly. Like I just don't. I don't know, man. Like maybe I'm too much on Oregon this year, but like I see this team being. I mean, I think Georgia's better, but I mean, I would have the number 2.
That's fair. I want to get more into Oregon with you, Donovan, in a second. But I know, Josh, you got to get out of here. So before you do, I just want to ask you one last question. How many teams, hypothetically, could we – what's the maximum amount of teams we could see the Big Ten send to college football playoffs? And how many teams do you think they'll actually send to the playoff?
I mean, if it were up to me, I would only allow 2. I really, really, really hate the fact that we're looking at a system where you can get a bye week because you suck and still get into the big show. I don't like that. I think that
how many teams make the playoffs this year?
12.
Is it 12 this year?
12. Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't know that. I thought it was less. I didn't know it was 12.
No, it's 12.
11 Power 5s and then 1 automatic non-Power 5 qualifier.
So if it were me, I would have.
They might get 4 teams in the Big Ten in the playoffs.
So that would be my ideal situation. But Donovan's right. You know, I think that there's a chance that there's 4 teams in the playoff. We could be looking at a situation where it's Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Michigan. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe not those exact 4, but you know, that's at the top of my rankings. We could be looking at that because we already know how slighted the system is towards the SEC and Big Ten. I mean, you know, I'm a Big Ten guy, but there's no hiding the bias that the Big Ten gets.
Yeah. And actually, I have 4 going in as well. And just for everyone's information, my 4 is going to be Michigan, Ohio State. I know you guys are going to kill me for this one. Iowa and Penn State.
Iowa over Oregon.
Look at Iowa's schedule. Look at Oregon's schedule. That's all I'm going to say.
Look at the talent. I gotta look at their schedule. I don't know their schedule, but
Iowa. Like I don't
you
know.
need to put some money down on that, dude. You live in Vegas, so I mean,
I don't, right? But before we get into that, Josh, where can people find you before you send you on your way?
Yeah, man. Follow me on Twitter, on X at Josh Keatley 16. Definitely check out the Ohio State of Mind podcast. We got into a very heated discussion this last week, Donovan, where we ranked the top 5 quarterbacks of the Big Ten. Miller Moss was my number 2. But we got the heated discussion.
Really?
About,
wow.
Why? You know, if you go back and listen to the podcast, I kind of explain why I'm trying to be a little bit more out of the box with my rankings. But the big debate was whose seat is hotter, Ryan Day or Lincoln Riley. So we got a big argument there. Michael and I disagreed. So that's why you're going to be on the show next week to help us out with A, our running back rankings, and B, tell us whose seat is hotter. So that's what we got going on.
All right, I won't say then because I already know who I have, but I won't say it because I want to be on the podcast, so I can't say it. I'm happy you have Miller Moss too, though, because I love Miller. He's a good dude, but I'm surprised people are Miller Moss haters in the college football world. So.
Tried to do it's kind of like what Brock said about Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel gets all this love, but man, I got a big, there's a couple rules that I follow as far as expectations go. You got to be at least the same or better than the guy you followed, which I don't think he's better than Bo Nix. And the team that you leave from shouldn't be excited that you left. And I've talked to enough Oklahoma people to make me little wary of Dylan Gabriel. So.
First of all, I know there's two types of Oklahoma fans. I think you were talking to the wrong type. All right, because as much I'm a big fan of Jackson Arnold. Right? Yeah. Jackson Arnold's him. Like, I think he's gonna be great. But their outlook on what has been the Brent Venables tenure has been extremely inflated and not realistic at all.
Because they beat Texas, that's why.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
That's like the gift and curse of like these big rivalry. Like you said, I don't know. That's a different topic. Ohio State, Michigan. Like if you lose, it's like over. Like not you didn't say that, but some people think that. Like or Oklahoma, if they go 8-4, like it's cool because we beat Texas. Like I don't agree with that.
It's not cool. Beat Texas and then losing to Kansas and then Oklahoma State is not cool. And then watching Arizona give your young quarterback a concussion of multiple plays is not cool.
Either way, he's on that roster that we're talking. He's on that team that we're talking shit about. So I think Dylan Gabriel. The expectations are really high for Dylan Gabriel, and I don't think he can live up to them. So therefore, he's not my top 5. Miller Moss, his expectations are held relatively in check, and he was pretty on fire in that bowl game. And all reports that I've heard is that the team likes him better than they like Caleb Williams. So that's also a pretty good sign. So I'm all about the Miller Moss train, bro.
Yeah. Well, I guess only time will tell. Josh, I don't want to keep you any longer. Thank you for your time. We shall see you soon.
See you Wednesday, Josh. Thank you for inviting me on. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. See you next week, guys. Bye.
Take care. So the problem that I think with Miller Moss in terms of him and Caleb Williams didn't have a place where he could barbecue. So I don't think he invited any teammates to his pad. Because you saw where he was living.
Yeah,
right? There's no barbecue, no parking, all right, no room.
I don't know about those reports. I mean, I love Josh. I don't know who he's talking to, but obviously I have around people that I talk to people in that program a lot, like all the time, and people love Caleb, man. Like his teammates loved him. Like he was a little standoffish, a little bit, but like not in a bad way. Like not like he like, oh, I don't like you type of deal. He just had his own vibe and had his own people. Like there's people that love him to death on that football team though. Like Taj, when I interviewed Taj Washington, like he's like, that's my dog. Like we talk every day and hang out. And Bear was the same way. And him and Bear didn't have like a relationship in the past. Like, and Marshawn grew up with him. They're both from DC. They played literally baseball together and everything. Like, so I don't know. I mean, people love Miller too though. You gotta think Miller's been there for longer than all of them. So
true.
Like
and
this is Miller's 4th year.
Miller probably has a grill. Like remember that Miller probably has a grill. That's amazing.
Grill. He might because he's from there. You know, I mean he'd go back to his parents' house. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I also want to say Caleb Williams' hate has been ridiculous online, and people might get mad at him for things he wasn't even a part of. So that again, beside the point. But
fans, man.
I don't get me started. I have a whole story about that, but I'll go to that. You know, forget it. I'm gonna go into it now. I made a tweet when I first jumped on Twitter, when I first began my career, and I said, and this was 2021, the year Georgia won their first natty, and this was before the SEC championship game, if I'm not mistaken. I said, if Kirby Smart cannot beat Nick Saban in this game, Georgia needs to start asking some serious questions about their future, and my reasoning was that Kirby Smart could never beat Nick Saban like on a straight up like competition, right? And an Oklahoma fan decided to say that's the worst take they've ever heard, and then all Oklahoma fans started like licking that one, and I got cooked on Twitter for the first time, and I was salty about it. So I've had this hate kind of fester. And what makes me so happy is that I was right. Kirby Smart needed Alabama to have both their number 1 and number 2 wide receivers blow their ACLs in order to win a national championship against them. And against one of Nick Saban's worst ever Alabama Crimson Tide teams and one of the better Georgia Bulldog teams of all time, Alabama still won. So, in conclusion, I was right. And
Oh,
moving
it's
on.
2021. I thought you meant that. I was like, they won 2 years in a row.
No,
But
no,
you
sorry.
talking about the
I
year?
saw it. Yeah, I
You
saw
talking about
about
year
like
2 through the
I got my redemption in this past SC championship game because that's the first time they played since that national championship.
Well, no,
They,
Stetson beat him. Stetson beat him. In the
yeah, so
national-
right, so Stetson beat him in the Natty, right? But
Yeah.
I said that game doesn't prove that I was wrong because
Oh, okay.
they weren't at an even
My
standpoint.
bad. I thought you were talking about the game with From at quarterback versus, and then Tua came in.
Oh no, that was way before.
That's
But
way back though. Yeah. I
yeah,
thought you were
but
talking about that game. Yeah.
I
My
did
bad.
I did use that game as like part of my argument into why. I also used like when Alabama beat the shit out of them in the COVID year. I used a whole bunch of examples, but that's neither here nor there. So that's why Oklahoma football has had a special place in my heart. Some good,
That's
some
random
bad.
that Oklahoma fans would jump on you for that. They don't. I mean, I don't have a. I really don't have a problem with Oklahoma. I like everybody, but I mean, they're obviously like the USC Lincoln Riley thing. Because when I write articles, I always have like you.
Oh,
Yeah.
do
But
you
I
know
mean, I don't
how
really.
many times I saw T-Bow come across my timeline?
So what?
T-Bow.
Oh yeah, they do. I mean, anytime me or Matt writes something like, especially him, like I don't get into it with fans like that because it's like I do and I don't. It just depends what mood I'm in. But I don't.
Yeah.
I just like the Baker Mayfield era in Oklahoma, dude. I was a huge fan of.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I was. I have an Oklahoma jersey. It's Baker's though. You know what I mean? 'Cause I was such a big Baker guy. But I mean, I ain't rocking it every day or anything. I'm just saying. But Oklahoma fans are a lot. Yeah, they're for sure. I'm more on the side of Texas than Oklahoma. I'll say that.
Fair.
Yeah.
I love Oklahoma football because they've won me a lot of money in the past. But what I really respect about Oklahoma fans is regardless of what the topic is, they are all unified, no matter what. Like I'm not even sure people liked it because they agree. They just liked it because it's an Oklahoma person saying it. So
Yeah.
that's the one thing I respect is that no matter what cause they ride for, like they all ride together. I think that's a very special thing about the Sooners. Going
Talk
kind
to
of back to my point about Iowa, right? This is I'm going to display Iowa's schedule for you right now. This is why I think they made the college football playoff. They play Illinois State at home, win. They play Iowa State at home. I think it's a win. They play Troy at home, win. They play Minnesota on the road. I think they win. Ohio State on the road, they lose. They play Washington at home. I think they win. Michigan State at Michigan State, I think it's gonna be difficult, but I think they pull it out in like a weird, grudgy game. They finish the season at home against Northwestern, against Wisconsin, at UCLA, at Maryland, and then at home against Nebraska. Don't tell me they don't win 11 of those games.
Dude, they're so average that they could go 11 and win, or they could go 6. Like they're,
Okay.
I mean, they're not going to be heavy favorite over any of those teams except like Illinois State and Troy, and they lose games like that. They've lost to teams like Troy before. Like I'm not saying they will, but like it's Iowa. Like they might score like 6 points and lose because they didn't score a touchdown.
Well,
They
let me.
I see what you're saying. Like I don't see them. I still don't see them win that match. I see like 9.
So two
This
things.
team, I don't think the roster's that good. Like the schedule's easy, yes, but the roster's just
The
not.
roster's never good. They're Iowa.
No,
they
they've had some good.
They make shit happen.
No, Iowa's had some good rosters though. Like, and this is not a deep like team for them. Like the team they had with, I mean, I'm not gonna go that far, but like the Brad Banks team, like that was a deep team. Even the team with like Kittle and Noah Fant a few years ago, that team was good. Like, that was like a 9-10 win team.
That was a 12-win team, by the way. That's the one they lost to Michigan State.
Oh, that's right. I don't know why I said 9 or 10 win. Yeah, they won. Yeah. I mean, Cade McNamara's coming back. Obviously, tons of experience. Their O-line is always good because it's Iowa. I don't care who's on it. You know what I mean?
They have a really good tight end in Lachey. Lachey's a killer at
Lachey's good, yeah. I mean, there's I like Deontay Craig. I've been a big Deontay Craig fan for like 2 years, so, and Aaron Graves too. So they're good. You know they're gonna be good up front. Like I don't have to worry about that. But I don't like Cade McNamara, but he is a veteran, savvy quarterback or whatever. Yeah, I mean I see what you're saying, but I'll probably say like 8. It's 7
Oh,
or 8.
okay, so just for some context,
But if
since
you get right on that, you heard it here first, everybody.
yeah, oh
Nebraska.
yeah, I'm shouting it to the nation. Like
And
I'm
then
gonna be.
Nebraska, that game is, dude. I'm a big Nebraska fan this year.
Are you? But they shit the. It's Nebraska, bruh.
No, it's
Bro.
different, man.
No, it's not different.
Dylan Raiola is gonna change
They're like
a
changing
lot.
shit. It's something within them. It's like the Bo Pelini curse. They can never get out from it. Oh, and by the
I'm
way,
not saying they're gonna be great, but I mean, I think they're back to about 7. They're gonna win 8. They can win 8. They can win.
they're winning 8. They're barely gonna win 6. I don't even think they're gonna be bowl eligible. If I'm being real with you.
No, man, they're good this year. They're good.
No,
They
they're not
just
good.
picked up Sierra Wright too from USC. Good
I don't
pickup.
care if they picked up
that
Joe
corner.
Montana in 1987 and brought him to current day. They ain't winning shit. First of all, Glenn Thomas is on the coaching staff, and I heard of old Glenny Boy when he was at UNLV, and I saw him at Arizona State. I'm telling you right now, that's no bueno. All right, hold on.
UTEP game they're winning. Northern Iowa they're winning. They're beating Illinois. They're
No, no,
they're
no,
gonna
they're
beat
not.
Rutgers.
No, they're not. They're not
They're
beating.
gonna
They're
beat
not beating
Rutgers.
Illinois. They're
They're gonna
not beating
beat.
Rutgers.
They're
What are
gonna
you
beat.
talking
You're
about?
why are you so high on Rutgers?
I'm not high on Rutgers, but this is a Rutgers team that they didn't beat the shit, but they played everybody tough last season. Like everybody tough.
Nebraska played some people tough last year too, though.
They
Man.
always play people tough, but they don't win.
And the Colorado game I'm iffy about because I love Colorado and Coach Prime.
Colorado,
That's a toss up.
pushing the
That game's
shit.
in Lincoln this year. It's in Lincoln. You
I
know
don't,
that
I don't,
rivalry.
I don't give a shit if it's on Abraham Lincoln's grave. It's Colorado.
And that game is circled. Matt Rule already said. And coaches don't usually come out and say that. But
I can circle Sabrina Carpenter's name right now. I highly doubt I'm gonna get a date with her. Like sometimes, like I don't give a.
That's A. She looked good, so that's a good
one. She look. You know who don't look good? Nebraska.
I don't know, man. I think Nebraska's gonna surprise some people this year. That's all I can say, man.
Okay, so let's.
They're gonna, because I don't know what their over under is. Probably 6. I guess.
It's probably 2.5 is what their over.
No, it's probably 6. Like it's got to be 5 or 6 wins.
All right. So you and I both give them UTEP and Northern Iowa, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're at 2. So we need 4 more.
They struggle in games like that too.
But they lost to Charleston Southern like 2 years ago. That was Scott Frost's last game.
But this is but not Dylan Raiola's Nebraska. This is different.
How
my number one play?
He couldn't even consistently go to the same high school. You want him to be consistent on the football field.
But he was consistently good at those high schools. And they were all in Arizona, so I mean, it's not that
bad. Hey, Arizona high school football extremely underrated.
Underrated. Yeah, but I think
they got some talent out there in the desert.
I'm 50-50 Colorado.
Dude, where is this 50-50 coming from?
They almost beat them last year. They were up the whole game.
They were not up the whole game. What game were you watching?
Wait, the Colorado. Oh wait, no, not Colorado. Sorry.
Yeah, what to say?
No, they got that. No. I was wrong. I'm sorry.
Iowa had Deacon Hill, the worst quarterback in Division I football, throw up a steamer to them like at midfield with less than a minute to go in the game, and they somehow still lost.
This Nebraska team, they've got some.
Who they got?
Oh, you mean like on the? No, I'm just saying they got some games at home. I think that they. Because that Nebraska crowd, you already know about that crowd. You know what I mean? They're gonna show up and show out. They always do.
Most overrated. What else is there to do on Nebraska on Saturday night?
Nebraska's just different, man. Come on,
it is different. It's boring as shit.
It is. You're not wrong. So is Iowa.
Yeah. Why do you think? Why do you think they hold on to the '90s so much? It's because that's the last time the people in Nebraska experienced happiness.
I mean, they're selling out. Like they sold out the biggest volleyball game of all time.
Right? What else are you gonna do? You can either go watch women's volleyball or stay home.
That's fair. I just think
I could put an under 12 team.
Ramir Johnson on offense. They got a couple guys at receiver, Isaiah Newer and Jamal Banks. I like a lot. So they're still trying to find their way. I think they're not deep. I will say that they're not deep. They're not fast. Like they have really good receivers, but they're kind of possession guys to me. More so. I'm not really sure about this Ja'Cory Barney kid. I heard he's got some speed, but I haven't really seen him much. I like their secondary too.
Mm.
I like Bly Hill. I like Mario Buford. Is a true freshman though. So they are gonna be relying on some true freshmen. They're a weird team. They have, if I'm not mistaken, know the official depth chart doesn't came out, but like 9 seniors and then 2 true freshmen. They have a lot of true freshmen and seniors because I guess the rollover from who was their last coach's name?
Scott Frost.
Scott Frost. Excuse, yeah, I can think of his name. Still got some, and then obviously the transfers they're getting in. You know what I mean? So they got some guys from there, and then they have this class that they got last year. Was good with Buford and Raiola, but they're gonna have some hiccups. I mean, I can see them going. I don't see them going worse than 6-6.
Okay, well let's discuss it.
That's all I'm saying.
So we are getting 2 wins. You and I agreed. So Colorado loss. What do you say?
I can't say 50-50. I have to give an actual answer.
So is it what is it? Win or loss?
You know what?
Put your
loss.
loss. Thank
close
you.
Loss. Very, very close loss.
All right, so Illinois loss.
Win.
Okay.
I just don't think they have the speed to keep up with Colorado on the skill position, but I think they can beat a team like Illinois.
I think Zakari Franklin is going to put up 200 on them.
God, you're not a Nebraska believer at all, man.
Oh,
all right.
What is there to believe? All right, Purdue, win.
Yeah, win.
Okay. So then, out of the remaining teams, where do they get their extra 3 wins from? Rutgers at Indiana.
They're going to be Rutgers for homecoming.
They're not going to be Rutgers for homecoming.
Yes, they're not losing that game.
Do you think Great
We
Shot
need a friendly wager on that game right now.
Okay. Hey, next time you're in Vegas, who gets the first round is depending on the winner of that game.
Fair. And
fair.
They play at Ohio State. I mean, come on, obviously.
Are we really gonna shake on this? Rutgers and Nebraska.
Yes,
all right. First round.
Straight up.
First round of Rutgers, Nebraska. Okay, good.
UCLA
lost.
Yeah.
You say TJ Harden is running all over them.
The USC game, they're gonna lose, but that's gonna be a trap game for USC.
It's not going to be a trap game. It's going to be a damn near bye week for USC.
No, because USC if you look at USC's schedule, who they play around that is tough. They have all these big games. I think they're going to let down a little bit. And then they have a couple guys on that Nebraska team that went to USC and a lot of Cali guys. I don't know why Nebraska. They always get a bunch of Cali boys.
Yeah, right. It's very odd. They got a bunch of Hawaii guys, too.
They do, yeah. I don't know why they do. They got a bunch of LA dudes. Remember that's how they were used to recruit back in the day in the 90s. They got a bunch of
Nebraska used to be national recruiters.
But I think Raiola
New Jersey.
I think Raiola will be coming to his own by then. That's November 16th. And that's a game where USC secondary is still not great. They'll give up 400, 500 yards to Raiola. He'll have some...
Raiola's papa, Mr. Dominic Raiola.
Yeah.
Right? Hawaii legend.
Yeah.
Is going to be on the phone.
You're supposed to be rooting for Dominic Raiola.
He'll be on the phone.
Dylan.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Whatever. Either way, Daddy Raiola is gonna be on the phone with the rest of the teams and the Big Ten, going, "Hey, who's got a better offer for my son? We're about to hit the portal in about 2 minutes."
This is where he wanted him to go, man. He should have just went to USC or Georgia if he wanted to.
First of all, the high school Raiola played at has, for some reason, an awful relationship with Georgia, and I think that's what swayed him. And also the fact that Beck is, they've kind of shared the quarterback situation for. He wanted a situation where Raiola plays immediately, and then once Raiola plays immediately, they're gonna go to a better situation. I bet you. I mean, I'm not too sure.
I've heard that.
24 months is what I have.
I've actually, me, like I've been recruiting circles a lot. I've heard that. Like I've heard, because Georgia for me made sense because Beck, but this is Beck's last year, so Raiola would be able to start for 3 or 4 years. Like that's why I didn't really it just made sense. Nebraska obviously made sense because his dad is a legend.
His uncle also works as a coach there now.
His uncle is the O-line coach.
Yeah, listen,
but his godfather is Matthew Stafford, so I figured that would help out with the Georgia relationship a little bit. And then USC kind of made sense at the time just because he did have a really, really good relationship with Branch and Lincoln Riley and a lot of those guys. But I mean, it is what it is. We might still get him one day. Who knows? But
first of all, Branch is having 2 returns for a touchdown against Nebraska. That's that. So USC is going to be fine.
I
Secondly,
hope so.
I'm going to
Okay,
predict.
but then Wisconsin, Iowa, right? I mean, those are two rivalry games. Those are the big games for the year.
You
Besides
think they're
Colorado,
losing to Wisconsin?
it is at Iowa. I didn't see it at Iowa. I thought
Yeah,
it was home.
at Iowa.
I thought that was
At
home.
Iowa.
Oh,
Oh,
Wisconsin's home.
yeah.
Okay,
You
so they
think
beat Wisconsin, lose to Iowa.
they're not beating Wisconsin?
They can beat Wisconsin.
They cannot beat Wisconsin.
They can. This team is good, man. This is a
Oh,
good Nebraska team.
Jesus
They're
Christ.
not. This is a solid team.
Do,
I
do,
don't
do you, okay, do you know when the last time Nebraska beat Wisconsin was?
like 90s.
2012.
Okay, not that far.
Before that, 1973. They didn't play a whole bunch, so that also went into it, but still.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say like Wisconsin and Nebraska was in a different conference, so
Okay, yeah. So since they came over in 2011, Wisconsin is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, what's that? 11-1 against the Cornhuskers, including a 70-31 thrashing in the Big Ten championship game.
Dylan, Raiola's just gonna change things.
Raiola is
Their over
carrying.
under is actually way higher than I thought.
Really? What's the over under for Nebraska?
7.
Get the under.
But that's what I said. I said 6 to 8 wins. I said 7. That was right.
They're gonna get between 4 and 5, maybe pushing 6, maybe.
I could see 5, but like that would be a very disappointing season.
Yeah. Well, it's Nebraska. Every season's disappointing. They're losing to Indiana in Indiana. Kurt Cignetti's gonna
Maybe
show
I've been
everybody what's
listening
up.
to Will. Maybe I've been listening to Will Compton too much from Busting with the Boys.
Yeah, yeah, you have because he.
I have been listening to that a lot. He said they 10 wins, so that's ridiculous. He's being a homer. 10 wins is stupid. He said the only teams that lose to was he said a lot versus Iowa. This is stupid. He said they're gonna lose to Ohio State, and then I forgot what other game he said. Oh, USC. He said USC and Ohio State. That's it. If they win 10 games, Matt Rule's gonna win Coach of the Year.
Oh yeah, he should win Coach of the Decade if Nebraska wins 10
And
games.
Dylan Raiola might be he would have to be a Heisman candidate if they win.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But
Do they have a better chance of winning 2 games or 10?
2.
Yeah. See, I agree with that.
So here's the thing: Dylan Raiola is going to play Nebraska this year. He's going to play Nebraska next year, and then he's going to transfer to Texas A&M, where they're going to pay him $8 million a year.
If Connor Weigman's gone, yeah, I could see that.
Weigman's not going to be there in 3 years.
Weigman might be in the NFL next year, though, right?
People have him as a first round. Okay, let's talk about that. People have him as a first rounder.
First round talent.
Yeah, just like how JT Daniels was a first round talent. Like, get out of here.
That's a little different. Connor Weigman's really athletic. JT Daniels is not. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
I don't give a shit if he's Mike Vick.
Connor
Weigman, talent-wise.
No, I mean I just mean like I get what you're saying, but Weigman is like the prototypical size and like he's a prototypical like NFL quarterback, like size wise, like analytical wise. He's like 6'3", 220, runs like a 4.55.
I don't know. I think he's got too much Jimbo Fisher on him. It's like a stank.
He's going.
I don't know. It just rubs off. It's like no matter, even if you leave Texas A&M.
He reminds me a lot. It's funny. He reminds me a lot of Daniel Jones. Because Daniel Jones he's taller than him, but he's about the same. They're the same. They run awkwardly well. Like Daniel Jones was like top 5. He's top 5 in rushing yards.
Why is he so goofy in open space?
Yeah, he's top. I was talking to Bill about that. He's top 5 in rushing yards since in the NFL for quarterbacks. He's top 5.
Yeah, he's low key a runner.
And Weigman's the same. Weigman can run. You know what I mean? Like I think Weigman. He gets hurt a lot too, though. He hasn't played much. Like I like him, but I think he's the first. I mean, if I'm being realistic, Weigman probably would go out the year after next. So what, 2026?
I would say so. Yeah. Only unless I don't know, the quarterback class could be pretty bad this year. I'm not saying it will be, but if it is, he might go early just because
he's gonna test well. That's basically what I was saying. Like he's gonna test well. He's gonna do good at the combine and the pro day and what's the Indianapolis combine.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like testing well as a quarterback does not do anything anymore. Like Zach Wilson screwed it up for the entire generation.
I agree with you. But you know how it is, though. You know how the system is. So
that's fair. All right. Well, you know what? Since we have it, let's go to USC schedule. What do we have? Because I have them as a sleeper for the playoffs. So let's go through their schedule.
I think
I
you're
want to go
higher on
through.
USC than me.
I probably am. I'm gonna go through each game. You tell me win or loss, and I'll tell you win or loss. All right.
Okay.
LSU win.
That I'm starting to have to answer these questions because it's getting close to the season. It's only July, but
Yes.
people have been like, Donovan, I wanted to get on my podcast, talk about LSU game. I'm like, well, I'm not ready.
Right. It's like I think we're less than 45 days away.
No, but I like answering questions when people ask me though. I don't want to be like, I don't know yet. Ask me later. Like,
You don't know yet. Just say yes.
no. Do they beat LSU in Vegas?
Yes.
Yeah, they by one.
Screen
By
passes to Zach Branch all day. Zachariah Branch, you are going to be the king of the street.
I'm worried about Harold Perkins, buddy. A lot.
They're just going to make him drop back in coverage.
Especially with Jonah. Jonah is, inside, which is he's the best lineman they have by far. Their line's still very shaky, but Jonah being up front helps. But he's inside. But Perkins is going to have a day. But I still think USC wins. And Branch has a huge game. You're right. I think Branch has in that stadium too, which he might be a Raider soon because he fits on the team, right?
He does fit the Raider mold.
Somebody compared him to Henry Ruggs on the mock draft. Well, obviously, as a player, not.
No, I know, I get that, but just because you can't. No, that's a terrible comparison.
Not off the field.
Henry Ruggs was fast. Zach Branch was fast.
Dark skin.
They're dark skin, fast, and wear a red colored jersey.
I think Zach Branch.
Henry Ruggs.
I think maybe not as a route runner because Zach Branch still has a lot of work to do, but as just a utility player, no, he's that guy, dude. He's he could be up there with like a Tavon Austin type or Percy Harvin type.
Oh yeah. So here's my take on that.
But I think they win the game. To answer by one point.
Zach Branch is far superior the athlete of Henry Ruggs, but Henry Ruggs is much more technically sound. That's the difference.
Yeah. I mean, straight line speed, they're pretty close. I mean, Ruggs ran like a 4.2 something.
It was fast, but I think Branch is like generational fast.
Branch could be the fastest. The kid from Texas, really worthy.
I look-y think he's faster than Worthy.
He's shiftier. I'll say that. I don't know about straight line person because I know that's the thing about Branch is like when he ran at the rivals combine, like he was the second or third fastest, but he's just so much shiftier than everybody. So all that straight line speed is cool and cute, but like it's all that shiftiness. And he's strong for a little guy. He put on some weight too. He put on like 10 pounds of muscle. He just check out an interview with him he just did with Adam Brenneman, the tight end. Yeah. Check that out. It's cool. You'll like it if you're a Zach Branch fan. But I think they beat LSU though. Yeah.
Okay. Utah State. I think they win.
Yeah, it's a dub. A lot of points. That Branch is gonna have 500 yards.
Oh yeah. No, Miller Moss throwing for 6 tutties in that game.
Yeah, for sure.
Just want to say shout out Coach Drelling, the interim coach at Utah State. I interviewed him at Mountain West Media Day. Great guy. Also, shout out Mrs. Drelling. We're happy to hear that you're doing a lot better, and we wish you the best in your future endeavors. Just want to say shout out to you as well, and keep up the great efforts, the great work for both of you guys. So Michigan lost, right? Yeah. No?
I'm not as high on Michigan as everybody this year, though. So
Kenneth Gant, Mason Graham, I think they're too much.
I think. Hold on. Let me look at some before I answer that real fast because I had Michigan. Michigan, Texas.
Donovan Edwards. They're getting pre-B from. Oh, I have Michigan beat.
Michigan wins that game at Michigan. They win it.
Okay. Wisconsin at home. I have USC in that game.
Yeah, that's a dub for USC right there.
At Minnesota, USC. Penn State.
Loss.
Yeah.
Blowout. Not blowout, but bad. Not close.
I don't know actually. Because this feels like the exact template game. What's that?
That game is just a disaster. Like, they're so athletic. Like, USC is just so much more athletic than some of these teams, but like Penn State is more athletic than USC. They're bigger. They're more physical. They have better quarterback. They have better running back. I mean, like, I don't know. I just don't see them winning that one at all. That's like a for sure loss for me.
That's fair. So I just feel like this is the type of game James
How
Franklin
many wins
steps
do we
on his
have
own
right now?
toes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 4,
Yeah, so right now, yeah, we're at 4. We're at 4 and
4 and
2
2, 4 and
at
2.
Maryland. I
That's
don't
a
know.
dub. But
You
that's a
think so?
weird game. That game's gonna
That's a weird
be.
one.
They won't cover, but they'll win.
That's fair. It feels very like Maryland feels like the Big Ten version of Arizona, if that makes sense.
100%. Especially because they have to go all the way to College Park after being in LA that weekend.
Yeah. Oh,
They already got a
okay.
kickoff. Or no, they don't. They don't have a kickoff. I'm sorry.
And then we got Rutgers at home. That's a win.
It's a short week, but it's a win. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
Washington.
weird. It's a weird game because it's a short week and they have to travel back from College Park, Maryland to LA. But that's a win still.
Uh,
Husky Stadium win. Washington.
Yep. Nebraska win.
That's homecoming. That's gonna be a close game, but win.
At UCLA for Victory Bell. I have a win.
Must win.
Yep. And let's take a look. So last time UCLA
play
defeated USC at the Rose Bowl was in 2018. Interesting.
How many wins we got right now? 8.
Yeah, right. 8-2. No, wait, 9-2. Because we only had Penn State and Michigan as losses, and then Notre Dame. That's a game that could decide their USC's place in the playoff.
It is, and I just don't think they're gonna win.
Win. I don't see Notre Dame coming over to Los Angeles and winning.
I could see it going either way. That's a 50-50 game. I know you hate that term. Well, you just hated it for Nebraska, but it's a 50-50 game, and it's in LA. But if Riley Leonard's healthy and Notre Dame's rolling and they're in contention too, which I assume they will be with their schedule, then I think Notre Dame still wins that game. But I mean, it's so far away. Like it's November 30th, so it's hard to gauge. But I would say right now, Notre Dame, I would take.
Yeah. So, fun fact about that game. So, 2022, USC won the Jules Shillelagh game in Los Angeles, right? USC won. That was Caleb Williams' Heisman moment. As the number 3 team in the country, if I'm not mistaken, 2018, that wasn't a good USC team. They only won by 7. And then USC won in 2016. USC won in 2014. And then Notre Dame won in 2012, but that was that great team with Matt Taylor. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Notre Dame can make the trip across the country and win. I think USC should legit be 10-2 by the end of the season.
I see 8-4 at the lowest, and I see 11-1 at the highest.
Fair.
Obviously, if they go 11-1, they would be playing for a Big Ten title too. But I just don't see them winning the Big Ten. I say 9-3. So you got 10-2.
Yeah,
So
I don't see them winning the Big Ten either. I mean, I still have the final being. I still have the final being Michigan Ohio State. I think the game doesn't matter. Like the actual the game that they Ohio State Michigan, the regular season matchup. I don't think it's gonna matter because I think they're gonna rematch the following week in the Big Ten championship game.
I have Michigan 4th in the Big Ten, so I don't think that, but I think that game will be close. I think Michigan loses that game to Ohio State, but I think it's going to be super duper close, and that'll be Michigan's big game of the year. But I think they end up falling short. I think they go 9-3 too.
I think Michigan beats Ohio State in the shoe. I think Ohio State rolled up. I think they're so confident that they don't pay attention to the details and they get burnt late. I think that's what happens.
It could be. It could very, very well could be. But I already think they have. I think they already have. They have 2 losses already going into that game, though. So, I mean, if they have 2 losses going into that game and still win somehow, they would probably make the playoff anyway, though.
That's fair. I think that'd probably get them in because outside of Ohio State right now, I don't see another Big Ten team except maybe Iowa going the season without having at least 2 losses. Now, whether that's conference losses or out of conference losses, that's a big difference. But I think
that's a huge difference because I mean, Michigan plays Texas. If they win that game and still lose 2 conference games, they're fine.
I think they beat Texas. That's why, because I think that Texas lost way too much. I love Isaiah Bond.
Michigan lost more though.
Yeah, but Texas lost all the important players.
Not the most important.
Ewers was not the most important player on that team last season.
I don't know. Oh, maybe on offense.
He still wasn't.
I think he was, man. I
It was,
think
it
they.
was, it was AD.
I
It
think
was
the only
AD
reason
Mitchell.
they made that run at the end of the season was because yours. I mean, remember the game they lost versus Oklahoma was
Yeah. I would say Texas
when he
didn't lose
got
the
hurt,
game.
or no, when he got hurt. The year before, when he got hurt the year before, it was out the Alabama game. They were
Yep.
winning. But I don't know. I think they did
Texas.
lose a lot. I mean, all these
Texas.
teams lose a lot. But see, like they lost a lot, but I feel like they still have so much because of how Sark is recruited and what they got in the transfer portal. But Michigan, I just don't think they're going to score enough points. Like they're good, but they're like 9-3, 10-2 good. I just don't see them. They have a problem at quarterback too. Like, and they can't get away with it this year because they don't have enough around. Like JJ had enough around where he could get away with like deficiencies, but like I don't think they have enough around. Like Blake Corum's not going to save you. I know they got Donovan Edwards. He's better NFL wise, but
I don't know.
they,
I honestly don't agree with that.
everyone, he's RB1 for most people, right? Like I would.
Really? Are they
He's on the
on
cover. He's on the cover. Is he on the cover of the
yeah,
game?
I don't give a
Yeah,
shit. He's on the cover. Quinn Ewers is on. Quinn Ewers is on the cover. He's not my QB1.
he's my QB1 though. So.
He's your QB. Wow, that's depressing.
For the NFL, yeah, I don't think college he's gonna. I don't know if he's like the Heisman front runner or anything. I don't really know who the Heisman front runner is. Honestly, there's no like one guy that's the Heisman.
You know who's my dark horse for the Heisman? Ashton Genty for Boise
Not
State.
Dylan Gabriel apparently.
Oh fuck no. Shit, I put Tess Johnson before I put Dylan Gabriel.
My Heisman sleeper, because I mean Quinn Ewers is a favorite, so that doesn't count. I'd probably say Drew Aller.
Really? I thought you were gonna say Quinshon Jenkins. Bro, Drew Allen's not even the best
Him and
offensive.
Jackson Dart take too many votes away from each other.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Wait, but Jackson Dart's out of Ole Miss.
Oh, duh. Yeah, Jenkins transferred.
Yeah, he's at Ohio State.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, wow. Yeah. He is yeah.
The only problem is he's sharing carries with Henderson. So that's like the only issue.
Yeah, he is. But they might run the ball so damn much. It might not matter.
Not even that. Yeah, you're right.
And then Will Howard's going to run the ball too.
Shit, I think Zachariah Branch is a dark horse as long as they keep him a returner. Get 15 touchdowns as a receiver, maybe 5 touchdowns as a returner.
If what you said is true, and they go like 10-2 and win that game versus Notre Dame, and he has some big numbers, yeah. Like, cause if he has some really his projected numbers and has like a monster game versus
he
Notre Dame,
is lighting up the Fighting Irish. Catholics will have not seen a bigger massacre put against them since the Crusades.
the only thing about
Branch.
Branch, man, and Miller Moss, like he's gonna spread it around, like, and I want him to. I don't want him to lock it on one guy. I think they have so many other receivers. I know Branch is the guy, but like, I mean, you're talking about Jacoby Lane and Deuce Robinson and Mekhi Lynn, and all these guys are like 5 stars. Kyle Ford's back. You know what I mean? Like, they have so many guys at receiver. They got that kid Jaden Richardson, who's like a mid-major guy coming in. He's nasty too. Like, I don't know how much time he's gonna get, but they're so loaded at receiver. I wish we could make like actual trades where I could be like, all right, let me trade you Deuce Robinson for like another lineman so we can block, or like a pass rusher or whatever. Like, but I like USC's team this year, man, talent wise. Like, I mean, they have enough talent to get to the playoffs. And are they a national championship contender? I don't think so. I think they're like a step below. But if some of these guys can actually live up to their potential,
yeah,
they should be in the mix. I mean, Anthony Lucas and Bear Alexander and Nate Clifton and all those guys, like, if those guys play really well up front, they have a shot to really win like 10, 11 games for sure. Like, I agree.
I agree as well. I also think that when it comes to USC, I think this is the year they build the championship team, not necessarily have the championship team. You know, I think this is the building year.
Agree
All right, so we've been on for a while. Unfortunately, for everyone watching, Bill will not be able to join us tonight, but he will be back next week. Let's finish off with some talk about Oregon, because you and I had some different, different thoughts about them. Let's go through their schedule. Let's go through wins and losses. Idaho, win.
Yeah.
Boise State,
Win. Shout out Malachi Nelson though, starting quarterback. He's
Ma-
coming from
Ma-
USC. So
Malachi Nelson, Ashton Genty, Cage Casey, King Casey. Yeah, Cage Casey. I mean, left tackle, big boy.
yeah, I mean, yeah, they still win though.
I don't know. I think that could be a trap game for Oregon.
Man, I'm just realizing all these games in week 2 are on my birthday. I'm gonna have a fun birthday, just sitting back chilling,
All right,
like on my actual birthday.
that's fair. At Oregon State.
Dub,
Yep. At UCLA.
easy.
Michigan State at home.
They win that one, but that's a little toughie at home. They
I
win.
don't know. I don't know. Here's the thing though. Jonathan Smith knows how to mess with
That's
Oregon.
why I said tough game.
Plus
They won't.
plus
They won't.
Aiden Childs. They got Aiden Childs now.
I'm not a big fan of him, but
You're not?
no,
Okay. Fair.
I'm not. I'm not saying he's not talented because he is. I'm just not a big fan of him. He's one of those guys I just never got into. I don't think he's gonna be like a savior of the program type guy.
Fair. Ohio State at home.
Game of the year they win, but game of the year I'm talking like double overtime possibly, but they win.
Game of the year, they lose by 10.
They could lose by 10 for sure. I think they win by like I said, double overtime, freak crazy game. But they win.
Illinois.
I think Will Howard has a bad game, a really bad road game.
I don't think it matters. I think Judkins and Henderson are putting up 150 each.
That's gonna be tough. It is. They might do it. They probably will, but I still think Oregon wins because I think Gabriel makes enough plays and they pull through. You know.
I don't know, man. That Buckeyes defense is looking stout.
It
Jack
is.
Sawyer, JTT, Denzel Burke.
Yeah.
Caleb Downs.
That's my guy, Georgia, baby. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. At Purdue.
That's a win.
Loss. That's where they fall into that Big Ten trap.
It's a night game too. It's 8 o'clock.
It's a night game in October in Indiana.
But this Oregon, it's not hot in Oregon like in October though. So I mean,
it's also not the Midwest either.
It's not, but I mean, Oregon is like they've had like snow games up in Corvallis and like in Eugene. Like
and they sucked ass in them.
Yeah, Corvallis might not be the best.
Yeah,
I'll say Pullman. Fine.
Yeah, they sucked ass up there too when it's snowing. Oh, when it's chilly.
I don't know. I just think this Lanning team is built different. He's trying to build them like the team that you want them to be.
Fair.
But Purdue's. I did see that game, a night game, and I said, okay, that one's tricky.
Yeah, Illinois.
I'm not high on Illinois.
I beat them. At Michigan.
Tough.
Loss.
Another tough one. Like
early November. You got those Michigan big boys up front.
That's Thanksgiving, right?
I know that's like first week of November.
For Michigan?
Yep. November 2nd.
Oh yeah, you're right.
All right.
Yeah.
Maryland win.
Yeah, they won that one.
At Wisconsin.
A lot of points being scored.
True. At Wisconsin.
That's a tricky game to me.
Loss.
Like some of these games are just so like random. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, that's a tricky game. Even though I just picked like Nebraska to beat Wisconsin, but I just think like Oregon going there late, now that one's tough late because that's a team that you know what you're about to get from them, and they have the talent I feel like to actually beat them like straight up. But I think that Oregon wins that game. I mean, I think Oregon. Well, you're about to go through the schedule, but I think they go undefeated.
Last game, Washington. I think they beat Washington, but I have 4 losses on the board for them right now.
Yeah, I have 12-0. But there's 2 obviously glaring games I see where they could lose. I mean, that would be Ohio State and Michigan. But Ohio State is neck and neck with them talent-wise to me. Like, I really, you could say Ohio State's better if you wanted to, and that's fine. But, like, I just think this Oregon team checks out. I think Ohio State's deeper.
That's fair.
But this is just one game, you know what I mean? So, like, I think at home they win. I think they run the table. I don't think – it's funny because I don't think they win the Natty. Sorry, Oregon fans. I do have you going undefeated, though, again. But not winning the Natty.
All right. Well, let's take a look at some final stats before we head on out. So, Oregon has played Washington State annually because that's just what they do. And for the most part, they've dominated the series except for a 4-game stretch in which Washington State won all 4.
That's probably Leach. Was that when Leach was there?
Yeah, it was when Leach was there.
Yeah. Rest in
And
peace.
and 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 all of those games took place. Yeah, rest in peace. Like I was talking to Kobe Dant about him, and I didn't realize like how cool he was. Shit, I was like, damn, that's dope. So like,
Yeah, man.
shout out the Pirate, R.I.P. See you on the flip side. All right, that's not a good example. Oh, there we go. Oregon State, because Corvallis, I think, is the place that mimics the Midwest the most. At least one can get consistency from. So since 2016, the University of Oregon has won in Corvallis only once. Only one time since 2016. Interesting.
2016. So what is that? How many times do they play? They play every other year. So
No, they play every year. 1, 2, 3.
well,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
but
In Corvallis.
you said in Pullman though, right?
Oh no, sorry, in Corvallis, right?
I mean, Corvallis every other year. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So out of the last 4 games, Oregon State has won trace, and
Yeah.
all those games took place in late November.
And well, it's a good thing for Oregon. They play Oregon State in September this time, but I know what you meant for that. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough. Like I could see Oregon for their ceiling. I don't 9-3 would be my floor, and my ceiling would be 12-0, which was where I have them. But it's Oregon. They will probably disappoint me and go. I mean, I had them going to field last year. You know what I mean? And they lost to Washington twice. So, and they could have won. They easily could have won. But I mean, I really think they should have won the first one. They lost, and then the second one they lost. They were in it. Now that one was more a decisive win to me, like the Pac-12 championship. But the first one they should have won. Like I watched the whole game, and I'm like, damn, how did you lose that? But yeah,
I
I mean,
I think that landing gives Will Stein too much autonomy. I think there's sometimes that get on the mic and say, "Run the damn ball," because there were some situations where I like Will Stein a lot too, but I think he passed the ball way too much. I think there's some situations like 3rd and 1, get Bo Nix. I mean, now it's not Bo Nix anymore, but get your quarterback on the center, run the ball. Like stop no shotgun, no nothing, no passing.
it's that
Run the ball.
it's that Lake Travis High School in him, man. He was the coach there, and I think they threw so much, like 6,000-yard passers and 5,000. That's cool and all. But I mean, look what he did with Bo. I mean, he was got him in the first round, and the Heisman. But if you wanted to win a national championship, yeah, I agree with you, and that's something that they have to do this year. And that's something I don't know if they can do because remember I said I don't think they have like a thumper guy that can get them that year. And Gabriel can run his butt off, and he's a great runner, but he's not the biggest guy in the world. I don't really know
I'm just saying
exactly
when
how
Nate
big he is.
Jackson, right? When Nate Jackson comes through, Jay Higgins comes through, guys like that. Like I don't know how much punishment he's gonna be able to take.
But I just love Gabriel. He's a dog, man. Like he's tough as
Yeah,
hell.
he is tough. He's very tough.
Smooth
But
too, though. Like he's like a dog, but he's smooth. He's a little bit of both. He's just I like the swag he's got with the chain. He got. I know you saw his chain. He just got the Oregon chain. That's
well,
ice. That's
just
icy.
it's a consistency. I think for me is where I'm
Honestly,
upset.
that's my Heisman favorite. Is Carson Beck and Dylan Gabriel because I said there
Really.
is no Heisman favorite. If I had to bet my last money in my bank account, which is not much, on somebody to win the Heisman, it'd be those two. Just I'm not saying they're the best or anything. I'm saying if I had to, it'd be those two guys.
That's funny because I have 3 that I have as my front runners right now. They're all tied, which is Beck, Noah Fafita, and Ollie Gordon the second.
I like Ollie Gordon a lot. I just don't know.
Hey, turns out drunk driving is not a crime in Stillwater.
No, it's not even that. I wasn't even going there. I just don't know about he would have to do so much because I don't think they'll win enough, and I hate that because sometimes it's not about that. Sometimes it should just be about who the damn best players. But you know how this works, and with their schedule, since we're talking about schedules, I don't really know if an 8-4 Oklahoma State team with his what are his stats going to look like? They're going to be so astronomical that he wins the Heisman on 8-4 team.
Oh, he's ready for 2K, 2000.
Is that enough though? Because I don't think it is. I think that's enough to get him to New York, but that's not enough to get him the Heisman.
Let's take a look at
Christian McCaffrey, dude. He was on the 8-4, 9-3 team or whatever, and he was maybe should have won the Heisman, but he didn't. He got to New York, which is great, you know what I mean? But, or like a Toby Gerhardt type guy. I mean,
Damn.
Derrick Henry's different because he played at Alabama, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So
Oh, don't. You know Omar Rashan from the Burger Popper. I know you. I seen you guys interact on Twitter before.
yeah.
Yeah. Do not bring up Toby Gernhardt in front of him because he still thinks he should have won the Heisman. Like till this day, like he defends Toby
Toby's
Gernhardt
from
like till the
Toby's from
death.
Toby's my guy, man. His brother is friends with my cousin Darius, who I think you know pretty well too, and he's from the IE. He's from Norco. We played against Toby in high school, dude. He's a
Oh
dog.
no shit.
He was a senior when I was a freshman, but he was the number one rusher in California State history before a guy named Najee Harris came along. So
Shit.
yeah,
Wait, so sorry. Who's your cousin?
Darius Allen.
Darius.
Yeah, he was on some podcasts before, like we really started talking, but we used to do a podcast, me, Bill, Eric Robinson, and Josh Keatley, and he was on that. So he
Gotcha.
played at Cal Berkeley with Jared Goff, and he's best friends with like Jamal Murray, who played at Washington State and stuff. So he's my plug on. He still talks to all these guys. He played at Cal for 5 years under
Tedford.
no, not under Tedford.
Oh, Sonny Dykes.
Sonny Dykes, and then Justin Wilcox at the end of his career.
Gotcha.
He doesn't. He doesn't like Justin Wilcox at all.
Oh,
we'll
me neither.
about that
Me neither.
yeah.
Different time. But yeah, tell him hit me up if you ever need to vent because I have my own issues with Wilcox.
Yeah. He played with Justin for 2 seasons, and then Sonny Dykes for 3. Yeah, and then he got recruited by Tedford though, so he got recruited by all of So
gotcha. Yeah. Turns out. I mean, it's not the Big 12 episode, but Oklahoma State actually has a ridiculously difficult schedule.
Yeah,
I think that's what I said about Ollie Gordon.
But I agree with you, Ollie Gordon. Like, I still think he could be in New York. Like, yeah.
But shit, maybe Taj Brooks might go Texas Tech. That dude is also a cheater.
It's tough, man. Like, it's not gonna be. I mean, it's like me. I love Travis Hunter. You know what I mean? I think he's so good on both sides of the ball. I think he can be in New York, but like, is he gonna win the Heisman? No. Like, Colorado's like a 6-6 team. He's not gonna win the Heisman.
I don't think Colorado is a 6 team. I think they'll win 9 games.
I would love for that to happen because I love. I know everyone hates Colorado, dude, but I love Coach Prime and Shadur and Shiloh and Travis, and I've been covering Travis since he was a sophomore in high school, just because he's a Georgia kid. You know what I mean? So I would love that. If they're a 9-win team, I'm gonna love you and be like, hell yeah, Brock was right. But I don't see it. But that's probably why you had Nebraska losing to them.
Yeah, so I had Nebraska. So funny enough,
Nebraska,
like
Nebraska. Yeah.
I have like 2 of their 3 losses as non-conference losses. I don't know if they beat North Dakota State, and I think they not for sure, but I have a strong feeling they lose to Colorado State in Fort Collins.
Dude, you're saying that, and you still give them 9 wins?
Yeah, because I think they go okay. So I think they. So let's look at the conference schedule. They beat Baylor.
My Colorado friends aren't even picking them with that game.
Wow.
I've heard not 8 to 9 is like the most. So.
I think they beat Baylor. I think they beat at UCF. I think they beat Kansas State. I think they lose.
UCF team is good, solid.
It's Gus Malzahn.
Gus Malzahn is a national championship, man.
Gus Malzahn went to a national championship and lost.
He has one as an OC with Cam Newton, though.
I don't give a shit. Like, who gives a shit? Like, it's Cam Newton. Bugu Malugu from Kahuku could have fucking won a national championship with Cam Newton if he's OC.
He wears his ring still. That's the joke, is he wears his ring all the time. Like
that pisses me off because he hasn't won shit.
Gene Chizik sucked too, though. So I mean, I give Gus more credit than Gene.
At least Chizik got the fucking job done. Like there were 2. Like the offense was Cam Newton and Philip Lexington, RIP.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Right? That was it.
They had the receiver that was pretty solid, though. What was it? Was it number 5?
Well, you can't remember his name. He wasn't that solid.
Bro, I can't remember everyone's name. Bill will remember his name.
Bill remembers everyone's name. Bill can name you the Decatur Stanleys from 1925.
Where's he at right now? Where's he at?
So he got bogged down with like a major work thing. So unfortunately, he couldn't come on the show.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I get that because a lot of people with the Microsoft thing probably got messed up too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, see, that's why you don't do that. All right, so I think they beat UCF. I think they beat Kansas State at home. I think they lose to Arizona, but they run the table. Win
you
against
said they beat.
Cincinnati.
You said they beat Kansas State too.
Yeah, I think they do. I
That's
think
always upset. Yeah.
I think Kansas State on the road is a lot different than they are at
You said
home.
they beat Utah.
No, they don't play. Oh yeah, no, I think they beat
Yeah.
Utah. Yeah, they beat Utah for sure.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like outside Dorian
The
Singer,
U
who's he throwing the ball? Who's Cam Rising throwing the ball to?
this Utah man, like you said earlier, they have a system. It doesn't matter. They'll get it done.
Yeah,
Whittingham.
you know what? I'm just waiting. Since Morgan
You think they
Scalley,
beat? You think they beat Oklahoma State too?
I think they do. I think it's a game Oklahoma State is favored in, and because of that, the Cowboys lose.
You think they
Like,
beat? And then Kansas. That's like that last stretch is. I think they lose all three of those games. Like Kansas with Jalen Dan. That's a sleeper.
if Daniels is healthy,
If he's healthy, well, if Shadur's healthy though, right? Like I mean, if they go, that Kansas team could go 9-3.
yeah, true. I would also like to say I think that Colorado could also go 3-9 very easily because they got Pat
Yes.
Shermer as their offensive coordinator. But I'm going to err on the side of talent. I think talent wins out. But I also think Colorado State puts up like 40 on them.
That game was amazing last year, man.
It was amazing. I spoke to like everyone. Like I didn't even have to like ask a question about that game, and they were like, "Oh, like that's been our driving force like since that moment. Like that's what's like carried us through." Also, Jay Norvell, really cool guy, super cool guy. Shout out Jay Norvell, like really nice, really personable, great guy.
Oh yeah, you were just at the Mountain West.
Yeah. Like I thought he got unfairly shit on by the media, but like
I've gotten some mixed reactions from Jay Norvell. I've heard some bad, I've heard some good, but I don't know. I've never met the guy in my life or anything, but I've heard some good, heard some bad. But I mean, he seems like a good dude. He's a good coach.
yeah,
Oklahoma guy.
yeah,
We're talking.
Oklahoma guy, and then oddly 1 year at Texas. It was very very strange, but regardless, I think we've kind of hit our limit. Donovan, let everyone know where they can find you, brother.
Oh yeah, find me on Twitter or X, whatever Josh said X on at Donovan Sports. The name remains the same. Yeah, obviously Trojans Wire over there. Jags Wire. I've been actually helping out a little bit with Kentucky Wildcats Wire, but just more basketball stuff. But just helping out. They just started the site, so I'm just trying to, help out. But yeah, just find me on those. Just grinding, man. Got some summer camps I've been attending and 7-on-7s, and I'm just ready for the season to get. This is like the time I'm like, okay, because I'm a big basketball guy and big baseball guy too. But now we're in the point where those are over for the most part. But baseball is still here, but I'm ready to go with football, especially NCAA, which I haven't played yet, so I can't give a review, but I want to. I just I have to buy a new Xbox because I don't have like the new one. So because I don't play video games that much, so I didn't think to buy like the games I play are still on the old Xbox One X, but I gotta buy the X series or whatever. Like I'm old.
Oh really? Damn, I'm about to buy a new Xbox too.
Yeah, you have to have a PS5, but I'm an Xbox guy, so
yeah, I'm an Xbox guy too. All right, well,
thank you.
Yeah,
thank you so much for having me.
For
By
sure.
the way, I want to say Carson Beck and Dylan Gabriel they have the same odds for the Heisman. I'm looking it up right now.
Are they the two highest like the best odds?
Yeah. Then Ewers, Milroy,
Hey,
and then William Howard.
Milroy's not a bad bet, honestly.
No, that's a good one. Nico's really high. I love Nico. But
I love Nico. I think he's gonna.
How do you pronounce his last name?
Maleva, I think.
Maleva, yeah. I like him, but high. Nussmeier's high.
True, which is to be expected.
Avery Johnson.
Honestly, though, you know who could be? As much as it pays me to say, Riley Leonard at Notre Dame.
He's not even on. Yeah, that's a good bet. He's not even on.
Something about he's at Notre Dame right now, and his OC is Denbrook, who just won Jaden Daniels the Heisman.
Oh wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yep.
Yeah, well, he's not even on here, so you'd have a good odds because I mean it'd be over plus 5,000 because he's not even on here.
I'm going with my money man Noah Fafita, University of Arizona, with Brent Brennan's system. He's gonna throw for over 4,000.
Plus 4,000 right now. So
he's plus 4,000.
Yeah, he's on the list. He's on the list, but he's a little bit lower than he's lower than DJ.
Oh shit.
He's lower than he's same odds as Rising and Miller Moss. So maybe you should throw some money. Shador's got this is interesting. Jackson Arnold's way too high. Sorry. Oh wait, Riley Leonard is on here. He's plus 2,000. I'm sorry.
I think Oklahoma's offense is gonna be a lot better because Latrell is the OC.
Riley
Seth
Leonard.
Latrell.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm trying to think who's too high. I think Brady Cook's a sleeper.
Yep. True.
He's not gonna win the Heisman. I just don't
No.
think that many. You have to do so much, dude, for like you to
Oh,
win.
he have to go undefeated in SEC play.
Cam Rising is a great pick to me. No,
I don't think
everyone knows who he is. He's a household name. He's
Of course, everyone knows who he is. He's been in college football for fucking 10 years.
but that's a part of winning the Heisman is recognition, though. Like,
No, it's not. Heisman hates old people. If you pass the age of 23, you done.
Stetson was just finished
Oh.
third.
Yeah, you can get an invite, but you're not gonna win it.
Oh, you mean win? Who won last year? Okay, well, Jalen.
Yeah. Well,
And
hold
then
on.
Caleb. And then
Rising. How old is Cam Rising? 27? 25.
25.
How old is Kyle Whittingham? 64.
He looks a lot younger than he is.
Yeah, damn. Huh. Turns out if you just win constantly and live in Utah, you age beautifully.
Well, I mean, he's also doesn't drink or smoke or anything. So
Oh yeah. So
He
turns
works
out if you're rich, you're white, you live in Utah, and you're sober, you end up your skin
There
was
you
great.
go.
There you go.
But no, you're right. I mean, it's tough. Like, really, since Johnny, everybody's been pretty young that won the Heisman. Oh, Joe Burrow was the only one. He was the only old one. Because I'm looking at it. All these, Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, Jalen Daniels, Devontae Smith, Burrow's older. But yeah, Murray, Baker, Lamar. Lamar's super young.
No, Lamar was a sophomore, I think, when he won.
Yeah, he was like a 19-year-old sophomore. Or 20,
you're right.
or young.
You're
20.
right. You're right, because he started as a true freshman. Damn.
Mariota.
Okay, Mariota was a senior, so I guess maybe Mariota.
Okay, so that's one. And then Jameis and Johnny were both the first, the freshmen.
Yep.
So yeah, ever since.
And
but
even
then before that was like all seniors.
Except for Bradford. I think Bradford.
Sophomore,
And
right?
Bradford and Tebow was like the only ones that weren't.
Oh yeah, Tebow won his sophomore year, not his junior. He was nominated his junior.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I mean, obviously back Liner, Jason White, Carson Palmer, those guys, Crouch, like senior. Winky was old. Winky
true.
the oldest Heisman winner?
And everyone said that was bullshit, and they were right.
So Cam Rising.
Peter Warwick should have won it over fucking Winky, if we're being honest.
You're right, but that's just that's how the Heisman work. That's why I'm always like, when people say all these crazy names, I'm like, yeah, like it sounds good, but like they just kind of like to give it to like the standard guy. Like Carson Beck should win the Heisman this year. Like it's his to lose.
True, I agree.
But Gabriel's right. Like Gabriel's right there, and then Quinn, yours. Like those are the top three. They're right, and Jalen too. But like, I don't know with DeBoer how that's gonna look. I think he'll be fine, but I mean, I just don't know. I think Alabama's fine. Everybody's going crazy, but I think they're good. Like,
yeah, I think Alabama's like in perfect position. I think people are tripping.
People are like 9-3, bro. Like I don't know.
Alabama's losing one game at most. I think next season, regular season play. I gotta look at the schedule though. I think Ole Miss might be the game they lose, but I think they win everything else.
Yeah, I agree. Auburn's always weird, but yeah.
Well, they play Auburn in Tuscaloosa, so I'm not even concerned.
Oh, they're good. They're good.
Yeah, they're good. Well, Donovan, this has been an incredible way to kick off season 3. I want to say thank you. I'll say thank you to everyone that's been watching with us the whole time. We just broke the triple digits for viewership. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on. Can't wait to bring you back on. I can't wait to have you come out to Vegas. I'm hoping you come out for USC LSU. That'd be so fun. That'd be so fun. You can't make it.
Labor Day. No, I'm pretty sure I can. Labor Day weekend.
Dude, we gotta do something.
Like,
we gotta do something.
I'm leaning towards yes, 100, like almost 100% for sure. It's
just gonna be you, or are you bringing your girl with you?
If she wants to go, she will. But I mean, I don't know if she's gonna want to. It's up to her.
I don't
Like,
know, because you know how it is. Because if you bring her, then like we got to plan like a double date or something. You know how it is.
yeah, facts. We'll talk about it for sure.
For sure. But why are we talking about this on live? That's so weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
Regardless, regardless, thank you, Donovan, for coming on. I want to say thank you to Josh Keatley, wherever he is. And Bill Carroll will be back next week. We want to wish him the best. For everyone watching, thank you guys so much. This is the first episode of season 3. We will be back next Friday, same time, same place. See y'all then.